Okay, morning everybody. Let's start today's class. It's about multiplexers and demultiplexers. Last class we studied about encoders and decoders. So today we are going to take on multiplexers and demultiplexers. Okay, a multiplexer is a combinational circuit that selects binary information from one of the many input lines and directs it into a single output line. Okay, the selection is controlled by the select line. So you have certain select lines which will control which input line is to be connected to the output line. Okay, normally if you have 2 to the power of n input lines, n selection lines will be there and there will be only one output line. So it will become clear in the next slide. Okay, it's an so the first multiplexer is the basic multiplier, simplest building block, which is 2 into 1 mux. Okay, so what it does is there is one select line. Okay, the select line can be either 0 or 1. If it is 0, then the input line, whatever is the data available in I0 will be routed to output. Similarly, if the select line is 1, whatever is the input available at I1, so basically this I1 will get connected to output, and I2 will remain, I0 will remain isolated. In that case, when S is equal to 0, I0 will get connected to output and this will remain isolated. Okay, so is this yeah.
So when the input is given to the output, so there isn't any modification, right?
No.
Like 0 would be given to 0 only.
Yeah, this is if I0 is 0, say S is 0. If I0 is 0, right, the output will be 0. If I0 is 1, the output will be 1. Okay, this is just interconnecting. Okay, it is like making a short circuit between the one of the inputs to the outputs. Okay, the thing is, at any given time only one of them will be connected to the output. Okay, so we can write the expression for output as I0 and S bar plus I1 and S. So if S is equal to 0, obviously this term goes, so this becomes 1, so output is I0. So whatever is I0, 0 or 1, the same gets reflected at the output. So this is the characteristics equation. If you call it that way, we can call this as the characteristics equation of a multiplexer. Okay, is this much clear to all of you? Okay, let's go. So how this can be implemented? See, there are two AND gates. So you have an S out here. So S is equal to 0, this AND gate will be enabled. F is equal to 1, this AND gate will be enabled. Okay, and then you have an output and you have an OR. So is this OR required? Can we just short these two AND outputs and take an output? Anybody? Is this OR gate required? Can we do away with this OR gate and take the output just like that? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So there are many people who are saying yes. So let if you short these two things, what happens is, say S is equal to 0. Okay. So you will have a 0 coming from here. That means a ground is available here. Now this voltage will be available here. It is 1 here. So I0 will be available here. If I0 is 0, it doesn't matter. You will get 0. But if I0 is 1, you will get a 1 here. Okay. So you will have VDD here and you will have ground here. So the VDD will get shorted to the ground here. Right. So you can't have that. So you can't connect. So this OR gate is important out here. Okay. We need to have an OR gate. Is it okay? Has anybody got doubt on this aspect? Why this OR gate is required? Yeah, pardon? Can you explain once again? Okay. See, if you don't have this OR gate, if you just short these two gates, right? Consider a case where S is equal to 0. Okay, so you will have the output of this AND gate 0. That means here you will have a ground, whereas this gate will be enabled for S is equal to 0. So I0 is so whatever is there, I0 is available here. So if I0 is 1, right, you will get a VDD there and this is giving a ground. So that VDD and ground will get shorted. So you cannot have this kind of arrangement. So you need to have an OR gate. So OR gate, in the OR gate there is no problem. It will be 0 here, it will be 1 here. So 1 will get reflected out. Is it okay?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
So, so what we are trying to say is that the high voltage, or from wherever it's coming from the source,
Yeah.
would flow into the ground like in a reverse manner through the second AND gate,
Yeah.
to which S is an input.
Correct.
And because S is grounded, it'll just flow into the ground. So that would leak, like that would be a leakage or short circuit, whatever.
Correct.
So that's why we need the OR gate.
Correct.
All right, sir.
Okay. So you can't have two outputs shorted of a gate. Okay. So you require an OR gate. Okay. So this is how a multiplexer would work. Okay. Now we can have an 4 into 1 multiplexer also. So there are two control lines. Okay, and you have to select. There will be two control lines, so you will have 4 different combinations of select, and there is a 1 output and 4 inputs. Okay, so with these combinations you will select one of the inputs. So it is very clear from this diagram if you see. So for 0 0, this S is equal to 0 and S0 is equal to 0, S1 is equal to 0, I0 gets connected to the output, and similarly for 0 1, I1 gets connected to the output. For 1 0, I2 gets connected, and for 1 1, I3 gets connected. Is this clear? How does a 4 to 1 multiplexer works? Okay, it is just one of them gets connected to the output depending on the input combination. Okay. So this is the characteristics equation. If you see S1 dash S0 dash, you have I0. So similarly you can make all the for the 4 different combinations I1 I2 I3. So for S1 and S0 both are 1, then I3 is getting to the output. So this is how one 4 into 1 mux operates. This also. Okay. Now we can do a direct implementation also. Direct implementation means if I go back, I can make 4 AND gates and generate the these minterms for each of them for S0 and S1 and control. Okay, so that is one method of doing it. That is known as the direct implementation. Here we can also implement 4 into 1 mux by using 3 2 into 1 mux. Okay, like this. Okay, this implementation is also possible. Like if it is S1 is 0 and then S1 is 1, so you have 2 mux. Again it gets into 2 branches. Here you give S0. So if you see for S0 S00, for 00 what happens? S0 is here. S1 will decide, okay, it is going to take input from this path, so come here. Then S0 is 0, so I0 gets routed like this to the output, right? For the next combination, S1 0 is equal to 1, so 0 and then it comes from 1, so the I1 gets routed like this to the output. Similarly for S is equal to 1 and S0 is equal to 0, I2 gets routed, and similarly for the last S0 and S01, I3 gets routed in this path. Okay, is this aspect clear? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is making a mux out of 4 mux in using 2 into 1 mux. Okay, so this is one option which we see. So generally when we implement it with gates, till 8 into 1 mux is okay. We don't go beyond that direct implementation, because it becomes very heavy gates. So we generally, if there is a requirement of more than 8, we generally use 2 8 into 1 mux, or more than maybe 3 8 into 1 mux to generate 16 and so hardware wise we generally find the direct implementation like this implementation only up to 8, like 8 inputs. Okay, that is the 3 input control. We don't go beyond that, because if you see for a 3 it will become 3 input AND gate, for a 4 it will become another 4 input AND gate. Okay, and then we will also learn there might be some enable also, so that will add an additional input, so the gates will become very heavy. So that is the reason we restrict it to S0, S1, S3, like it's 3 input control bit in practical applications. And then if you want require to multiplex larger number of datas, you use these kind of structures. Okay, is it okay till here? Okay, so this is the how it gets connected. See, for S0 is equal to 0 0, it's getting connected from here, right? This it is getting connected from here. If you see for this combination, right? So I1, so this we discussed for different combinations how it's going to get connected. For the last one, okay, I2, it's going to get connected here. Okay. Now okay, for this can you just see the circuit and tell what is happening here? This is also kind of multiplexer, but just seeing the circuit, can you tell what is happening here? Okay, first think of the enable switch. Okay, what is the enable switch doing? Anybody?
Sir, if enable is 0, then the inputs to the AND gates gets 1.
Yeah.
So if our enable is 1, basically there won't be any output at all. The output will become low.
Yeah. Okay, so the function of the enable is very clear here. When enable is 0, all the gates are going to have 1, only then the output will be available. If enable is 0, then it will be available. If enable is 1, then all the AND gates will give a 0 output, so output will be 0. Okay, so that is done. What does S do? Can you just think what is S doing?
It switches between the two 4-bit selections. Either A0 to A3 goes, or B0 to B3 goes into the output with S.
Yeah, correct. So what S is doing is basically, if you see S, if S is equal to 0, you have 1 here. Okay, so what is this 1 doing? It is enabling these 4 AND gates at a given time. So all A0 to A3, this is a 4-bit data which is available as Y. So you can say Y is equal to A when S is equal to 0. Okay, is it okay? Y is equal to A when S is equal to 0, and both A and Y are 4-bit data, right? And similarly, when S is 1, you will find 0 here. If it's 0, all these gates will get disabled and all the bottom 4 gates are going to get enabled. So now Y will become Y is equal to B now. Again, B and Y are 4-bit data. So this is also multiplexing. Earlier we saw a 1-bit each multiplexing. This is a circuit in which we are doing each input and output is a 4-bit data. Is it okay till here, everybody? Anybody?
Sir, isn't the second NOT gate on the S redundant?
This one? Okay, you want
so we can instead route it directly to B,
Yeah, you can do that also. You can do that also. Okay, why it is given like this is, see, when S is coming from a different chip, there will be always lot of noise there. Okay, the moment you put an inverter out here, right, it eliminates the noise, right? You understand, na? Every digital in the we learnt in the very first class that digital logic circuits, they eliminate the noise, because even if the output is a what is coming from a different chip is 0.1, okay, this it will considered as a 0. So here at these two, because these are all mux heavy gates, so it has to be driven with proper current capacity inverters. So these inverters are acting like a buffer which will isolate the input signals and given a proper full rail-to-rail voltages here. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is the advantage.
Sir, one doubt, sir. If our enable is equal to 1, then all the then from Y0 to Y3, all outputs will become 0.
Correct.
But then what if either A0 to A3 or B0 to B3 is our input is 0?
Okay.
How do we differentiate between enable and our input bit? Should we put another AND gate to find that out?
No. We don't have to really find out. If you see the multiplexer applications point of view, okay, when we want output from this chip, we will just give an enable signal. Once the enable signal is given, you look from the microprocessor point of view, it is accepting some inputs from say 2 different channels. Okay, so I will enable this first. I will enable this chip. There might be similarly many other chips. Okay, so I am enabling this chip. So once that is done, I just forget about that, and then I will use the S bit to take either input from this channel or this channel. Is it okay?
Say that is fine, but in case due to some noise or due to some error, our enable becomes 1.
Yeah.
Therefore, the output will become 0. How do we find out at that time whether something wrong with the enable or our actual input is 0?
Okay, see, that is testing of a chip, right? For testing, you have to apply a enable 0 and give different inputs at A and C, whether you are getting replicated or not. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay, so so such like when we do generally a startup, okay, when we start up a computer or a microprocessor, it runs some test, built-in test. Okay, so built-in test is nothing but it will for each chip, it will provide some test signals, and it will verify whether there is output or not. So that is fault detection, and then if there is some problem with the chip, it will come. That is all fault diagnosis and testing. Okay, that's a different domain. It's too early for us to get into that. Okay, but it is done like that. You understand, right? So for each circuit, what is the test? The testing will be very, very unique. It's again a very interesting thing. You can't apply the same testing signals for every circuit. So each circuit will have its own testing pattern, right? A test program which will find out if there is an error in that particular circuit. Okay, and let me just talk on that aspect. So generally you can't do an 100% test, right? Then once you switch on your computer, it will take maybe days to finish each and every possible combinations. So testing itself is an engineering subject in itself, wherein within the given limited time is a major constraint there. Within a small given time, how can I generate some test vectors to check the functionality of majority of the circuits which is there in the microprocessor, and trying to find out if there is any fault or so. And if there is a fault, so the necessary corrective action for the user may be prompted to it, or even advanced processors will have a backup for some of the critical gates. If they find okay, this particular AND gate is not functioning or this block is not functioning, it will have another block which it will replace it. It's known as fault tolerant circuits. Okay, in the fault tolerant circuits, in the hardware itself, some critical blocks are identified and they are they are available in the hardware readily for the processor to use that. So during the initialization of a system, it does some fault algorithms, and if it finds okay, some block is faulty, so there will be some alternate block, it will pick it up of its own. So there will be some switches inside, so that is known as fault tolerant designs. Okay, so that you will probably learn in VLSI design in your higher degrees. Is it okay?
So this is a 8:4 marks.
Yeah, this one.
Yes, sir.
No, this is not. This is a 2:1 mux, 4-bit 2:1 mux.
Oh, all right.
Correct. Okay, nice that you asked me that question. Okay, this is an otherwise no, I left out that important aspect. This should be called as an 2:1 mux 4-bit. Okay. Okay, so let me go to this. Okay, so we have done with that. Okay, now multiplexers can also be implemented with the help of tri-state buffer. Okay, what is a tri-state buffer is if there is a control signal coming high here, okay, the input will be connected to the output, and if the control signal is 0, this is an high impedance. Okay, high impedance means there will be no VDD and no ground. Okay, it will be in high impedance. It is like an open switch. So in the, if you are using tri-state buffer, so you can implement a 2 into 1 mux simply like this. Okay, instead of an AND gate and an OR gate, these are the two tri-state buffers. So if you give S is equal to 0, this buffer will be enabled, and if it is give S is equal to 1, this buffer will be enabled. So if you connect like this, these outputs of the buffers can be interconnected. There will not be any issue of shorting, because when this is off, it is in a high impedance state. Okay, is it understood? What?
So that triangle is a representation of the buffer, right?
Yeah, triangle is an implementation of representation of a buffer. It's a symbol of a buffer. Okay, buffer means the same, inverter means in inverted output, buffer means it's the same output which is available. Okay, so this is how an buffer, this is an inverting buffer which is shown here, right? A tri-state buffer. If you see, this we will learn. You will not be able to appreciate it presently.
Sir,
Yeah.
so could you please explain? I'm not clear with buffer. What is it and how is it working?
Okay.
What is its purpose?
Okay, so buffer is exactly like the switch what we have in our, for your fans and lights. Okay, if you switch it on, it will make a connection. If you switch it off, it is like mechanically the switch is off. There is no wire here, and there is no VDD or ground. Is it okay? Otherwise, for a digital gate, okay, it will be either 1 or 0. This is the third state which is available, which is known as the high impedance state. It is neither VDD nor ground. So if the buffer input control signal is given 0, it goes into high impedance state. Okay, so this wire, you can assume there is no wire here. It is in a high impedance state. Okay, is it okay?
Sir, I didn't get how did that get into high impedance state?
Okay, it is an okay. So if you see the circuit here, okay, that aspect, okay, this is the control signal. Okay, the one with these bubbles are known as PMOS. Okay, and one without bubble is known as NMOS. So to switch on an NMOS, you got to give 1, and to switch on an PMOS, you got to give 0. So they are opposite to each other functionally. Okay, the input signals which we need to give. Right now, if you assume the control signal is suppose the control signal is out here is 0. Okay, it is 0. So this gets switched on, right? So this is on, and this is also switched on since it is 1 here, NMOS. So these two gets switched on. Now you have the input available here. Okay, if the input is 0, this is switched on. If it is switched on, the whatever is available here, charge is available, it will be discharged, so it will be 0. And if it is if this input is 0 here, the PMOS will be switched on, so this node will get charged to 1. So how does it work is when the control is 1 out here, in this case because it is CE bar, this PMOS is also off, this NMOS is also off. So there is no VDD is not connected to this point, and ground is also not connected to this point. Okay, so time being, just vaguely understand ki it can be implemented. Okay, unless we know the proper functioning of these MOS transistors, we will not be able to appreciate how this will work. So I have just put this circuit just to give you some confidence that their buffers can be implemented. Okay, so this we will be towards the end of the course. Since you have not done MEC, I will I'll take one class and explain about the MOSFET working, and then some of the circuits we will discuss there. Is it okay? Time being, just understand that buffers can be implemented. Okay, so this is the proof of that.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
sir, what is high impedance actually? I didn't understand, because it is neither 1 or 0, right? So what is it?
It is like you can assume there is no wire here.
So output will be 0?
No, output will be decided by somebody else.
Oh, so from there we'll not get any output, like from the...
When high impedance means this is neither it is just putting a very huge resistance there of few mega ohms. Okay, so so it is kind of isolated from this, so you can just assume there is no wire here. Whatever will be the output will be decided by some other gate which is active.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it okay, all of you? Anybody has got any
Yes, sir.
doubt on this?
Yes.
Okay. So you see, this is in even in 7.4 series. Okay, this tri-state buffers are available here. Okay, this is 74125, right? This is the if you see the pin diagram, you will have this is A1 Y1, right? A2 Y2. So if you give a control, this is a bar out here, right? If you give a control 0, whatever is input available at A1 will be available at Y1. If you give it 1, so Y1 it is just hanging in air, there will be no output available. So such kind of ICs are available even in 7.4 series also. So okay, so now you see, this is how a MUX has been implemented. Okay, you have used this buffer out here, then you can use a decoder. So you have a select and enable. Select is S0 and S1. So what does a decoder do? If it is 0 0, 0 line will go high, right? So this buffer is enabled, so you will get at the output Y. Similarly, if you have 0 1, line 1 will be activated, so you will have I1 coming at the output. Okay, similarly, if you have 1 0, the third this line will be activated and you have I2 coming here, and if you have 1 1, this line will be activated. So this will, so you can make a MUX by using a decoder and a tri-state buffer IC. Is it okay?
And we don't need an OR gate over here because there's a high impedance state on the tri-state buffer.
Yeah, correct. So you don't require an OR gate because these are all high impedance tri-state buffer. It is known as tri-state. It has got 3 states. So these tri-state buffers can be interconnected. There is no issue with that. Is it okay? Anybody has got any doubt? You can prompt me.
Sir, like, if we connect the tri-state buffers, what will actually happen there? Like, if one of them will be 1 and others will be 0,
Yeah.
then how it will be, sent to Y? I didn't get that point.
Okay, I think we will leave it that. Okay, you, for the time being, just remember, okay, it can be implemented with CMOS devices. Since you have not done an MEC course, towards the end of the course, we'll have to get a little bit detailed into the MOSFET operations. Okay, so we will leave that time being. Just for time being, believe me that it will go past this output here. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
And there is an ICs are also available. Okay, how internally this, I have just flashed this circuit, but I will not explain. I will go into deep into this right now because you haven't studied MOSFETs. Have you studied MOSFETs?
In the first sem, but in the first sem they said about something about MOSFET, but then we don't actually.
Okay, so towards the end of the course, and I'll try to make these things simple for you, and little bit of one day I have to spend on MOSFET operations. It's very important for VLSI design. So I'll spend one day on MOSFETs and then take on some CMOS logic circuits, and also towards the end of the course we will do that. Okay, so time being we just assume ki this is working like this. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we can implement Boolean functions also. So like we talked about MUX, we talked about encoders, we saw some real life applications. Similarly, we talk about decoders and we talked about the application. Similarly, every thing what we study, we should know what is the application. Okay, now we will see what is the application of multiplexers. Okay, so this is the Boolean function, right? X, Y, Z, and you have F. This is the minterm, so you have the minterm. So how to implement using multiplexers? Okay, so it is pretty simple, right, to implement F. Like if you have X, Y, 0, so for 0 it is 0 here, you put 0 here, right? For 1 the minterms, okay, so 1 2 6 and 7, so at 1 2 6 7 you put VDD, and on the other pins you put ground, so you will be able to implement the function. Is this design aspect clear to everybody, both the groups?
Sir, could you please repeat this just last point?
Yeah, so this is implementing a function. A function has got 3 variables, X, Y and Z, right? So we know the minterms, right? So this is like the minterm corresponding to, right, if I put 0 0 0, 0 is going to get connected to the F output. So if I put 0, I put a ground there, automatically for 0 0 0 the output which I get will be 0. So minterm 1, that is for 0 0 1 I should get 1 output, right? So what I do is in the mux out in the input signal 1 I put VDD. So when I put 0 0 1 F will automatically be 1. So 2. So the 2 corresponding to the minterm 2 I put 1 here, for 6 I put 1 here, for 7 I put 1 here, and I put zeros rest of the places. So this will generate the required function F, and the variables are x, y, z. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a doubt. Like here we have X, Y, Z as 3 select lines.
Correct.
So how do we know that we have to put 0 0 0 in all 3 to get the 0 for 0? Like how do we know that the binary number which X, Y, Z would be there, then that number only will come from the input to the output?
No, when you have an IC, right? So the pins will be numbered accordingly. S0, S1, S2 and 0
No,
to 7.
not that. I am telling that you said that if we put X, Y, Z 0,
Yeah.
then we will get 0 because it's the first one.
Correct.
Then if we put X, Y, Z as 0 0 1, then we'll get 1.
Yeah.
So how do we know that after putting X, Y, Z as 0 0 1, then we'll get 1?
No, we are implementing a function, right? So the minterms are specified here 1, 2, 6, 7, right?
So these 0 to 7 correspond to the minterms
Yeah, these are corresponding to minterms, right? From this table.
in the multiplexer.
Yeah, in the multiplexer. Since that is
Okay.
going to get connected, right? So
Okay.
this translates to minterm here.
Okay, sir, got it.
Okay?
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, tell me.
so this is just an integrated circuit of what we just saw earlier, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Okay, this is an multiplexer chip. Okay, is it okay? Anish, Tanya in the other group, do you have any doubt? Yeah,
So do you have any such integrated circuit in the 74 series?
in the 7.4 series, yeah, it is there.
Okay.
I'll show you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now let me come. Okay. Now I can even implement. I had used an 8 into 1 multiplexer, right? I can also use an 4 into 1 multiplexer here, right? XY, right? Okay. Now if you see XY for 0 0, XY 0 0, this line will get activated, isn't it? For 0 0, this line will be connected to the output. So XY 0 0 in the truth table, I make a pair of 2 2 2 2 each. Okay, 0 0. So what is F in terms of Z? F is equal to Z. Can I connect Z here?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So if you see 0 1, this line will be connected here for y is equal to 0 1, right? Now if you see compare F, and if you try to write F in terms of Z, this is Z dash. So I can connect Z dash here. For the third one, okay, it's the same problem, 1 2 6 7, we are doing the same problem. So here you are trying to do this, right? In this case what is happening is F is equal to 0 irrespective of Z, what F is 0 here, and in this case F is 1. So I can connect Z, Z dash 0 and 1 here. So I can even implement this function with a 2 into 1 max, provided I am using Z as an input to this multiplexer. Okay, is it okay? Is it okay with everybody? Anybody?
This is not a general case, right? This is just for the specific function.
No, for a general fun, any function you can do this. You have to,
So in this case, Z only Z will act as an input, whereas X and Y will only be selectors.
yeah. You can do this for,
So usually we have like n selectors and 2 to the power n input line. So this is not that case, right?
no, you can split that in any ways. Depending on your application, you can do that.
Okay, okay, fine.
right? You can have even if it's a 4 variable, you can have a combination of 2 variables coming here. Okay, I'll show you one more example of this. Okay, it will become clear then, right? Okay, so in tutorial also I have given some problems on this, so it will become even clear in tutorials. Okay. See, you can even do this. Here I have taken only one as a selector line, x is equal to 0. Now I am going to express f in terms of x and z. So you get now f is equal to y XOR z. So you have put in that here. For these it is f is equal to y. So you can put that also here. Is it okay? Anybody has got a doubt on this circuit? So all these options are available. So depending on your design, whether you have what is readily available, what kind of mux you readily have, and what kind of gates you readily have with you. So you can use these kind of systems, right? When you are making a PCB design and all, sometimes see each mux is not one IC, right? It will be generally a mux with 4 2-in-1 mux or something. So there you might find, okay, this is spare available with me, rather than going for a bigger one, and from 2 circuits I have one spare, so I can use that. So those are the things which drive the final decision making of what type of mux is to be used. Okay, also when we use a very large mux, the delays will be bigger, whereas the small mux will switch faster. Okay, so these are the design constraints what we have. Okay, anybody has got any question?
Sir,
Yeah.
okay, you go first.
Okay, so depending on the function, the inputs will change, and but selectors we can choose any of the selectors.
Correct. We can not necessarily you generally have to take the MSB here, right? If you take an LSB also, it can be done. There's no restriction like that.
So, but in this, like in Boolean functions like this, there is no MSB LSB, right?
Here.
Oh, okay. XYZ is okay. It's mentioned. So X is MSB. Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. In my tutorial, I have in the tutorial which we are going to have in the next week, I will explain you one more trick of how to go about this. Okay. Let me just give a small hint here. Yeah.
So like this was a 3 variable, so we found out that f is equal to y XOR z just by observation from the table.
Correct.
But if we had like 3 variables, a group of 4 variables, so we had to switch to k map to get the simplified expression, right?
Yeah, correct.
So if I have x, y, z as my input, so what would be my MSB? Like z would be x would be the MSB, or z would be the MSB?
No, for multiplexer you can take anything. Okay. Let me give you some explain you a small trick of how it is to be done. Let me go back. Although I thought I will do it in tutorial, but some of you won't be attending my tutorial, so let me give you an expression. Okay, see, if you write an expression for f in terms of x, y, z, okay, from the minterms, can I write the expression for 1, 2, 6, 7, right? F is equal to, I can write what is x bar, y bar, z bar, right? So I can write an expression. Okay, once I write the expression, right, now I am going to give x is equal to x is equal to 0, y is equal to z is equal to 0, and I am going to activate this line. So in that expression also, you just put x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0, z is equal to 0. Whatever you get, you put it there. Is it understood? You don't have to make a k map. You have to write the algebraic expression for this minterm. Okay, and x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0, z is equal to 0. This line is going to be get connected. So you put x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0 in that equation, and whatever is the resultant f you get, you put it there, right? Similarly, if you have x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0, z is equal to 1, this line is going to be selected. So in that expression, you just put x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0, and z is equal to 1. So whatever comes f, you got to put it there, right? So you don't have to really make k maps. Is it understood, this aspect?
So you mean so we can use algebraic simplification instead of switching to K-map, right?
Yeah, it will be easier in a multiplexer design.
Okay.
Right?
Sir, could you please show an example? Just one term.
One term. Okay, let's you have to expand this. Okay, shall we leave it to the tutorial, okay, let's try. Okay, one will be let's take for example 6 is x is equal to 1, y is equal to 1, z is equal to 0. So this line will be activated. So what is 1? 1 will be x dash, y dash, and z dash. Right, you have to write the expressions for this and put x is equal to 1, y is equal to 1, z is equal to 1. Then you will, if you write an algebraic expression for this, and if you just write the algebraic expression and you put these values 1 1 0, you will get f is equal to 1. So you can put f equal to 1 here. Let's see towards the end of the class. I think I might have some slide, then I'll elaborate on that. Okay, otherwise in tutorial I'll just upload the tutorial. You will be able to see that there. Okay, so let's move forward a little bit here. Yeah, so these are two examples which I have given here. So you can try it out at your home. Okay, just try to do the implementation and see that. Okay, so there's one small question here. Okay, what is this doing? Can you see and tell? What is this particular circuit doing? What is f? In terms of p and q, can we just see? If I put 0 0, what will be the output?
I0.
Yeah, I0. And what is
It's an XOR gate, sir.
Yeah,
So basically,
correct. So if I put 0 0, p is equal to 0, q is equal to 0, I0. And what is I0? It is 0 here, it will be 1 here, it will be 0 here. So when I put 0 0, the output will be 0. Now if I put 0 1 here, I1, okay, it will take I1 and it will route it to output. So if I see 1, what is here? It is 0 here and it's an inverter, so it will give me a 1 output. Similarly, I put 1 0 here, so I2 will be active, connected to the output. So I2 is again coming from here. What is here? It is 0 here and 1 here, so 1. And now I put 1 1 here, so I3 will be activated. I3 is 0. So you will find for I0 and I3 the output is 0, and I1 and I2 output is 1. So it will act like an XOR gate. Okay, is it clear, Manish? Yeah, Manish, is it okay? Is it XOR? Okay, so this is XOR gate. Okay, now we'll see a few more live examples of how an multiplexer is. See, one of the switches out here is connected at any given time. This is an analog signal. Okay, so this is an amplifier. Okay, the value of this resistance will in fact decide the gain. So if you switch one at any given time, okay, the gain will vary. You see, the gain is changing from this is the gain depending on the first. So multiplexers are used to control the gain of the signal. So you have those rotary switches, or you keep changing your gain, right? Audio amplifier gains, various places including your laptop. So such kind of multiplexers are used to change the gain in steps. Okay, it will change the gain in steps. It's just an example. Okay, don't have to memorize anything. I'm just putting these slides just to give you an idea. So these are all, you can say, out of syllabus questions. Okay, it won't be asked. Okay, similarly, if you have your LAN networks, right? So if you have various L2 switches which is providing you internet in the campus, and there will be one L3 switch. Okay, so if you see, these are all will be slower rate switches, like it will be only say 1 Mbps line. So this will be some 8 Mbps line, and it or 12 Mbps line, and it will keep taking the inputs from each one of them in a multiplex. It will multiplex these signals. Okay, it will, for a small time duration, it will take the input from here, then a small duration from here. So it will, in the time domain, it will keep taking inputs from many L2 switches and combine it into a bigger data. Right, these are all, say probably these are all 1 Mbps lines. This will be 12 Mbps line. Okay, so and it will come here and it will do the same demultiplexing here also if you have to. So this is how multiplexing and deplexing is done in communication networks, and also this is a very important module, multiplexers. Okay, don't have to mug it up or remember anything. This is just to give you a rough idea. Okay, so these are some of the TTL gates which is available with you. 74125, this is an quad buffer which is available with you. Okay, 74151, okay, this is the multiplexer. So in LTSpice, if you want to do learn more about and see the actual waveforms, you can create a test signal using I think 74141. I have given you the SPICE model. I guess I might have given you this models. I think 3 or 4 mux I have given, 4 into 1 mux, 2 into 1 mux. So if you open up LTSpice and select on that component, and if you keep browsing it, you will get, there are few mux which I have given you, model of the mux which I have given you. Initially I gave you 20 ICs, right? So 74151 also might be one of them. Similarly, you can have decoders. Okay, these are decoders, and you can have you have decoder IC number is probably written here. Is it written? Okay, it's not captured here, right? Okay, similarly you have an encoder also. Okay, so these IC numbers I forgot, maybe I cropped a little more. The IC number was written below, but if you see your LTSpice, you will have these all these ICs available with you. So in case somebody wants to simulate and try to test it out, okay, we'll be able to these things. Okay, so in the tutorial I have put few more examples. I have uploaded the tutorial also without the solution, so maybe you can try it out, and if there is any doubt, it will get cleared in the subsequent tutorial, right, in the tutorial classes. Okay, so anybody has got any doubt on what is multiplexer and how we can generate functions using multiplexers? Is there any doubt? Okay, so we can see the tutorials. There are few more problems available there. Okay, even in the textbook you will find few problems. So this is just a simple technique, right? Is it okay? Anybody has got a doubt? Could you show 4 into 1 mux, right? Okay, let me go back. Yeah, this is kind of 4 into 1 mux. This one. Syed, you can switch on the mic and ask, no problem. Yeah, these slides, so after the class, in the same day I upload the slides and the video, right? So don't have to bother about that. Yeah, tutorial I have already uploaded. Okay, right? Okay, so let's okay.